awesome treat because our friend Karen is going to show us how to color with watercolor pencils. We know this has been a huge request from you guys to show coloring with different types of styles like colored pencils and watercolors and all sorts of different things, so we're really excited about this video. She is using Derwent's watercolor pencils, but any type of watercolor pencil will work with her techniques. Thank you so much for this video, Karen.
Hi everyone, this is Karin. Today I'm going to show you how I've colored some of the images on this card using watercolor pencils. I use Derwent watercolor pencils and not the intense ones. I'll show you the difference later on in this video. The dogs, the tennis ball, and the fire post are from a cute new set called Critters at the Dog Park. Aren't they just the sweetest? Of course, I start out by stamping my image, and since I'm going to use watercolor pencils, I use watercolor paper. I have Canson, which I really like, and then I use archival ink for my image so it doesn't bleed when I use the water on the stamped image. As you see, I put a bit of craft foam underneath before I stamp my image, which I think gives the best stamping result. And there he is. Even if this is not supposed to bleed with water, let it dry completely before you start coloring. Here I've used one pencil called Terracotta. You see how I leave the parts of the dog that I want the lightest white. For those of you who saw my video on how I color with markers, you saw that I have the same technique. I leave the lightest parts white. And here I go back and fill in with more color where I want him darker, like under his little belly and under his ears and his nose. Like that. I'll go back in with the pink for his nose. Once I'm done with the coloring, I come back with my brush, and I have a sable brush from Winsor Newton. Sable brushes are a bit more expensive than ordinary brushes, but they're well worth it because they can hold a lot more water than ordinary brushes. And as you see, I start out from the lightest part and then paint towards the darker parts of the dog, just like that. And as you see, it holds so much water that I sometimes want to rub it off on my finger. I don't really know what happened with the video there, but I'm going on to show you the next dog, where I've used 3 different shades of brown to color him. I've used golden brown, raw umber, and burnt umber for this dog. And I'll just show you how well these colors mix when you add the water, so you don't have to be very careful once you start coloring him in like this. But as you see, I fill most of him with the light color first, but I still leave the lightest parts white, just like that. And then I come back with the raw umber one and fill in the darker parts like that. You always have to decide from which point the light comes, and then you just color from there. So here's the darkest one, the burnt umber one, and I use that for the ears too. And then I come back with the raw umber. And then I come in with the water, and you see how nicely these colors blend together when I come in with the brush. And well, this is a great alternative for those of you who don't have a large crafting budget. You will just need a few colors, but still get lots and lots of different shades. Like on the first dog, I just used one color, and these pencils, as I might have said, are sold separately, so you could just buy the ones that you think you'll need. And as you saw, I messed up there a bit, and I can still wash it out with a bit of extra water, and which you can't do with the intense colors, which I'll show you later. Here's for the fire post. I've used two different shades of red. Yeah, the darkest one is Crimson Lake, and the lighter one is Deep Vermilion. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but anyway, I start with the light one, and you see how I leave the white spaces again to get the roundness of it. The darkest underneath where there would be shadows, just like that. So make sure you have color everywhere you want before you start adding the water, because once the paper is wet, don't go back with the pencils on that, because it will mess up the whole thing. And if you need to add more color, let it dry completely before you go back, because yeah, it's not going to be beautiful. Then you'll get the exact lines from the pencil, and you will not get that beautiful watercolored look. Well, while I'm at it, I might as well show you how well these images work with their coordinating dies. It's just super perfect. I've added a bit of tape to my die, and then line him up like this, and press it down and run it through my die cutting machine, and I have, well, the perfect image for a card. Before I finish, I promise I show you the difference between just ordinary watercolor pencils, like that one, and then this one is the intense watercolor pencil. And yeah, just come back with the water and color in, and you see the intense colors is much more intense, obviously, but I actually prefer the ordinary watercolors, because as you saw earlier, I messed up and could go back and wash it out. So I've let it dry, and then I can still come back with just more water and almost wash it all off again just by adding water. And that can actually be quite useful if you want a highlight that you've forgotten to add. So that was the watercolor pencil, and this is the intense, and if I do the same thing, you see it won't come off. That could be useful for different projects, but well, I prefer the watercolor one to the intense colors, but it's all very personal. But you can see there how the intense pencils would stain the paper more. Anyway, this is the finished card, where you can see the cute critters. I'm just in love with them. And I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. And if you want to see more of my cards, please visit my blog, peppermintpattiespapercraft.blogspot.se. Have a great day. Bye.